creature laid bruised and bloody on the ground near the pathway. Day and Elegane were long gone. They had both continued on together despite the distrust when they first met, and the creature was surprised they hadn't neutralized him, but also knew he would recover in hours and be back on their trail. The void crept around the clearing and circled the creature. It molded over him like sauce over food. Far ahead, they walked beside Elegane, who leapt from his injuries. They faced some features of him that were cow-like as they walked. They casually asked, "So, how are you feeling?"
Well, alright. I just need to get to this river.
Elegane says as they continue to walk. They pass the evergreen forests. They look behind them and see nothing but the forest and the beige dirt path. Elegane stops suddenly. He hears cracking in the trees, the wind blowing against them as they impact each other, and the sudden shift of something a few meters away in the tree line on their left. He yells,
Run!
as they both bolt down the path as the forest behind them is torn apart by a massive creature that is 40 feet high and a mixture of a rhino and a gorilla. They look behind and notice the creature turning course and chasing after them. They tell Elegane, pointing at it as they run, What is that?" Elegane turns for a second and notices the giant creature chasing them.
That is a gorilla. The sirens created them to battle sides.
When we are safe, you need to tell me about the sirens.
I'll make that the next priority.
They sprint faster and see a river rushing ahead with no real crossing inside. Elegane grabs them and puts them onto their shoulder as they fall onto all fours, running as fast as he can to get to the river before the gorilla smashes them. He makes it to the edge of the river bank and dives into the water, readjusting their position to swim against the current. The gorilla catches up as they are halfway across and pounds downwards onto the ground, the vibrations ripping into the earth, sending them and Elegane apart from each other as the river's current changes and propels them both down it. The air bubbles as they are submerged, swirl in circles as they are forced down the river. They look for Elegane and they struggle to the surface of the river, which has pushed them further down the stream. They see a massive 20-foot tidal wave curve meters away from them. They take a deep breath and submerge as it crashes over them. Elegane, a bit ahead of them, sees them in the water. And Elegane, not being a strong swimmer, struggles to get to them. He reaches them and he holds out his paw and they grab it. Elegane pulls them along as he swims upwards. The surface above them is a murky grey with mountains standing tall. The riverbank curved around the water as its stream peers onwards towards a drop. But the river is also at peace at this end, enough to allow Elegane to make it up onto the bank. They collapse onto the sand as Elegane examines his surroundings, trying to work out where they were now. Far from there, the gorilla sits calmly alongside the river. The creature, with a wide grin smile, appears below it. It appears up at the gorilla and scoffs at it.
This thing threw them down the river.
The void moves around them both, and a figure appears from it.
You couldn't have done any better.
At least, I could have kept them from being swept down this river.
The creature hissed out. The gorilla gets up and steps into the river and journeys across it. The gorilla snarls at it as it hears the creature's remark. The figure from the void says,
You'll need to catch up to them.
How do you suggest I do?
Use your old methods. A murder of crows is still a bad omen.
As you command, O Siren Lord.
The creature replies with a bow as crows spew upwards and out of the void in the hundreds, heading down the river towards their new target. Alicane had pushed them both from the riverbank and into a small cave that sat on a ledge overlooking the river and the forest afar. They were going through the bag, making sure the scroll was in place. It was. They asked, Are we staying here long? Alicane thought for a moment and replied,
We can, but I need to head to the river and fill my water container.
Is it okay if I rest?
Rest here. I shall be back soon.
Alicane leaves and wanders down the path he had taken up. He reaches the bottom and starts to fill the container. He has thoughts, one that he cannot shake, one that haunts his own mind on a daily basis. What if he couldn't protect this being? What if he wasn't good enough to make it to the valley? And what if his people found out he had failed at his taskings? It was difficult for Alicane to answer these questions. He had only really been elected to travel with they because he had protected them against whatever that thing was. Nevertheless, he journeyed back and stared up into the clouds. Rain started to pour downwards as he climbed up the ledge. They looked at him as he walked back in and asked, Tell me about the sirens. Alicane rested himself with a view of the entry and replied,
Well, this could be a long tale, so bear with me.
And that is part 5 of Tales of Shortcide. Also, if you are listening, you can go to YouTube and there is a playlist with part 5. Right now is showing what the Gorilla would look like and what Alicane would look like, because I prompted an AI, the Mid-Journey AI, to do a little art thing. But nevertheless, thank you for watching this or listening to this, and I hope you join us tomorrow for part 6 of Tales of Shortcide.